Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Valorant Game Changers Series 1 presented by Verizon. We have a long day ahead of us, so a little bit of a personnel swap on the desk. I'm Sierra Dunn. I'll be hosting the next two series, and joining me for the late shift, we have Bach and we have Sapphire. And being on the late shift, that means we got to watch the upper finals. We got to sit back, Sapphire, and enjoy. And wow, it was over pretty quick, but it was still a spectacle to watch.
It was over quick. I thought I'd have time for some dinner, relax, make some popcorn. That was a fast match. Still an impressive one. We saw, the usual stars like Floor absolutely dominating.
You say we got a chance to watch, but I feel like if you blinked too many times, you would have missed almost 3/4 of the game. That was super fast coming in from V1, and it kind of answered a lot of questions that we had coming into this one. Is V1 really as good as they look? When we see them tested, how are they going to, handle that kind of pressure? And clearly, they are amazing. They are definitely up there with the best teams in not only the region, but potentially the world here for Game Changers.
Yeah, and with that victory, they'll be moving on into the grand finals, but we got to find out who is going to be joining them, whether Shopify Rebellion will be able to win in that lower finals to make their way back up for that revenge, or if the next series that we have on the Verizon, XSET and Moist Moguls, if either of them can fight their way up. We got to see these two fight it out to make it to this point yesterday. Two very different series that we had when we look at them side by side. This Complexity and XSET game, this is one that went by actually pretty quick, whereas Moist Moguls, they had to be fighting for everything to even get to this point. So this will be a really fun matchup to be watching for today. But let's start with talking about this XSET roster, because Bog, on the desk yesterday, we talked about thinking that this was going to be a pretty close series between them and Complexity, but XSET, they came out to play. They came out with something to prove.
Yeah, this roster definitely impressed us yesterday, and I think overall has been pretty impressive. We looked at their first loss in the quarterfinals, and we thought, okay, maybe this team isn't quite ready. There was a lot of questions on whether or not it was going to work immediately because the roster was more of an assembled roster, more so than one that's been playing together historically in the past. But after that loss against Shopify Rebellion, they have grinded through this lower bracket. And by grinded, I mean they've taken their opponents and just beaten them down into a fine pulpy mist. Misfits Black getting 2-0'd, Complexity also getting 2-0'd. The teams look fantastic, and I think this is one player you really want to highlight is Bob, who has stepped up huge for the team basically since its inception. But what's impressive to me is not only the numbers, but the volume. To be highly ranked, I think overall with the full event, at 430 rounds, those stats put Bob roughly around 8th or 9th ranked player. By comparison, V1, who just played in the grand finals or the upper finals, has only played 235 rounds. So almost 200 rounds less than XSET has played. And even Moist, who they're about to play, has played almost 100 rounds less than what we've seen played by XSET. So the fact that you're seeing Bob put up numbers like this with a volume of that high of rounds is incredible.
Bob is such a phenomenal player. Even seeing Bob perform yesterday on the Sova was incredible. Sitting here was just, all right, this is just Bob doing Bob things. I feel like there's not really any other way to describe it. So going into today, Moist Moguls definitely have their work cut out for them. But this is a team that even when they get beaten down, they'll always get back up and they'll always keep going at it. This was a team that was down yesterday in their series after a devastating loss over on Ascent. And going into this main event, they've had a rough time with outside circumstances, and Sapphire, even today, with having to find a new place to be playing to try and be making their way on through.
Yeah, they put out a social post this morning. We don't have internet at our old place at CLG. We need to find a new place. I know I contacted them from the Dignitas side. I think Team Liquid, Lagarde, we were all looking out for them. We wanted to make sure they found a home to play this important match. Fortunately, they're all sorted right now, but the team has continually had to overcome adversity in the last couple weeks leading up to this event, and they've met every challenge. And they've started every single match against an org. They've lost the first map. And, we always think, that first loss is usually pretty devastating too. So to be able to come back and win against Complexity, win against FaZe, win against EG in monumental fashion, absolutely impressive.
One thing to make note of too is most of those games started on Pearl. So if you're coming into today, I think job number one is maybe not letting Pearl be map number one. I was a 13-5 loss to Complexity, a 13-5 loss to Complexity again. in the main event. One was in the qualifier. 13-5 loss to FaZe Clan on Pearl. 13-3 loss on Ascent. It's definitely been something they've struggled with here.
And then, speaking of Han has been that absolute clutch player. We did see Emily with like one of the most historic clutches in all of Game Changers, but Han in maps 2 and maps 3 when facing elimination, an absolute superstar. So she's crushed it on stats, 221 ACS, over 1 frag per round. Her ADR's off the charts. Her assists, I think that's like 2nd or 3rd in all of Game Changers main, like absolutely crushing it, and knows when to step up when it matters.
So what I'm really hearing and understanding here is we're just expecting a 3-map series in this, with Moist Moguls and how the first map tends to be going. I mean, we got to see that yesterday. The facts do speak for themselves. If we could see them put up a good fight on that first map, if they have that warm-up, starting a little later today, so maybe we'll get an even better warm-up in. Maybe we could see what can happen on the first map. But speaking of the map picks and bans, I would like to know where we're going to start things off here. Bach, you talked about that Pearl. Maybe something to be banned out. Maybe we don't want to see it, but Moist Mogul's feeling confident enough to let it through, banning Lotus out instead. So XSET gonna pick up Pearl.
That's not a surprise. This is actually a pretty good map for XSET. They're 5-0 coming into today just in this event alone. So it's really not all that surprising. It was going to be between that and Ascent, and it's a map that at least Moist has had success on in Ascent, so it's no surprise that that'll be our 3rd map in this series, should we need it. Just float that one to the end and take your early pick strong. Pearl definitely looked rough from Moist. I did not like the way they play their composition. They play a really explosive style of comp, a lot of flashes, but then they play really slow. So it's super strange because you think they would play very explosive, they would try to get a duelist up in your face, but they go with that raise play, and it feels like it just doesn't work yet. Like they're trying to figure out how to make those pieces come together, and they're not quite there yet. Then we get to move on to Haven, which we know is a map they play well. One, the map does feel like it works really nicely for when you want to slow down the pace of play, which is something that Moist seems to be very good at, so it's no surprise we're going there either. Ascent being the decider, I feel like it really depends on how Haven goes. I mean, Haven is a 3-0 map for Moist, whereas XSET has mixed results on the map. It's when we get to Ascent that both teams are very competent on that map. And I do think we're going to get there. Just based on this pool alone, I feel like we are going to map number 3.
Yeah, Buck, honestly, 0-1 is their comfort zone, right? Athena's saying,
true.
0-1, all good. We're gonna win out from here. And yeah, Ascent is going to be spicy. Both teams have had some impressive wins of it. I think both of them smashed complexity on that map. So yeah, we might get that 3-map series.
I'm excited for the Ascent redemption too, because historically we know that Moist Moguls is pretty good on this map, but we didn't really get to see that as much yesterday. So being able to see that as the game 3 and all of it, I'm pretty excited. Hopefully we do get to that point, but we got to get through Pearl first. And Pearl was a lot of fun to be watching yesterday over on XSET's end, talking specifically about the composition block that they'd like to be running, because it's something that is a little stranger, but XSET, they like to play their own game. They like to play what they're comfortable with, and it works out.
Yeah, for anyone watching at home, what you're wondering about this composition, they play a Phoenix. It's not something we see a lot of teams do. And even when we see it, we're like, does this really work, or is it just working for now? They put Bunny B on the Phoenix. Katsumi actually goes off of a duelist, plays Astra. She was a top performer in the series the other day.
Insane.
It's a very peculiar layout for their composition, and not really many people would go to that as a default or a standard, but it works for now. We'll see if that's going to continue to be the way they play the game, or if they're going to continue to adapt and evolve. I have in the past criticized teams for being maybe a little bit too avant-garde with their agent selections, but I like this. I like the fact that someone's willing to mix things up instead of just saying, like, this is the standard and the default, this is what everyone else plays. I like that they're working with something that's maybe a little bit more unique, and it doesn't feel like it's so crazy it can't work.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit different than what everyone else does, and it's obviously producing success for them, so why fix what ain't broke?
And then I'm really interested to see what Dodo Nut pulls out. We talked about it all day yesterday. Like, we're expecting that raise, which it wasn't necessarily her best. And then as soon as we saw her on that jet, like, MVP performances. I still expect it's probably going to be that raise. I know they played around it before.
I just don't like the Raze that often. I think that Raze can be a great agent on the right maps. And I feel like Dodo Nut actually plays Raze well on those maps. But when you force it and you shoehorn it into every one of your maps, it gets a little uncomfortable. And here, it just doesn't feel like they work a composition that makes a lot of sense. If they were to play it the way that I feel like they could play it, maybe it works a little bit better. But because of how slow and methodical they approach the map, I do feel like maybe something with a little bit more of an in and out strategy instead of just an in will work better. And there we go. We do get the Jet swap. I actually like this. I think that Dodonut was feeling it the other day on Jet. I feel like forcing Dodonut to play the Raze is a mistake. And I feel like this will actually allow Dodonut to excel to a higher level of play.
I'm a big fan of this. And I feel like too, there's only so many fantastic Jet maps that you can get before you're just like, okay, maybe I just have to swap back to the Jet for this one because Dodonut's Jet is phenomenal. I'm excited to see it pop off in Pearl. I'm hoping for Moist Moguls we can break that first map curse here as our first game is ready. So it's time to head over to Mimi and Wyatt for map number 1.
Thank you very much, Sierra. Yeah, Wyatt, in a world of double controller compositions ruling on Pearl, we have 2 really interesting answers to the map here as we get into map number 1. In one that I think is going to be very pivotal for Moist Moguls. As the Des was talking about, they've been struggling in starting strong in series.
Yeah, definitely. Their wins have been coming from the mental resilience, being able to win in comeback situations. Starting off here on Pearl, this has been a great map for XSET, running a pretty strange comp. It's shades of what we've seen from the Cloud9 roster with the Phoenix. One of the only teams really running the Phoenix here. They don't have the Sage, but typically this comp, it's an answer to the double controller meta, right? Being able to Phoenix Flash against the Harbor walls, against the Viper walls. But on the opposing side with that, Breach, Astra, it's a way different look. So we'll have to see how it's going to play out. 2 unorthodox comps here for sure with the current meta.
Well, as we get into things here, Moist Moguls have an emphasis on mid, a Cypher Cam set up for contact towards A, and they're just ready to fight towards that part of the map. However, for XSET, it's 4 players taking towards B long. Seems to be just setting up for that classic take.
Yeah, MLE playing a fairly passive position on the site as their teammates are trying to get some information in mid. Panday in the cam. Cam now broken. Gonna try and re-clear. Both teams just playing the silent information game for now. Is that XSET 4 now gonna execute onto the site. And actually, Emily has moved into backside. He's gonna have to at least get one here. Dodonut with a bit of assistance, holding that crossfire. So nice, and Emily actually off the stun, and Dodonut with the swing as well. Those ghosts just finding headshots all over the site. And it's just Panday who is left on that lurk to try and make magic happen.
A 1 versus 4 for her. And her position, not noted early in this round, but Moist Moguls very suspicious of the possibility of this reflank coming through.
30 seconds
See
left.
already a crossfire set up to contend with her, a position that is going to be near unwinnable. And as she swings into the first player, it is an utter shutdown. 4K for Dodonut in the pistol. And we're already seeing this duo for Moist Moguls come online. All the way back together since TSM, Dodo and Emily have been a fantastic pair of young fraggers.
Yeah, you can see it just here in the replay, right? That crossfire setup that they had in the mid-round, that they adjusted to in the mid-round was just perfect. And this is such a great start for the Moist Moguls. Last time they played this map, Pearl, they were only able to get 2 defense rounds against FaZe. Here immediately, they might be able to get 2 straight away, just converting the pistol on the bonus.
And it's interesting to see them putting this emphasis on mid. Again, you see a stun lined up for Dodo to fight off of if there's aggression towards Art. Most teams these days are oftentimes putting a bit more emphasis towards B, towards A, allowing that space to just be contained by utility. But the Mongols have a bit of a different read. Early on, though, we do see XSET playing to one of the priorities of their composition, which is getting orbs for Bunny Bee on this Phoenix.
Yeah, slowly making their way towards that A site is, again, similar for Moist Moguls here. Prodding in mid for the information. And walking in there now, Dodo, Emily behind. Panday actually able to get 1 kill with that ghost onto Han. But now in the 4v4, things slowing down again. XSET, they're going to call a little bit of a rotate off here. They've still got a decent amount of time on the clock to work with.
I feel like the idea might be just to try and orb max here. Go all the way back around towards B long, get another orb for Bunny Bee, maybe try and get that plant down, trying to prioritize getting that ultimate online. We'll see if that is their idea, if they actually do want to try and full commit to something towards B or available. Bunny's not going to take it. Just want to go for this hit towards the B site instead. 2 players again. The Moist Mogul stacked up, flash out, and Emily's there. Holds the line wonderfully. Quick 3K on the Spectre, and this round already knotted up. Bob's good, but 1v4 Ghost. This one is not happening.
Again, just Emily and Dodo on the site. They were set up in the crossfire, but that time Emily said, nah, I got this. Don't sweat it. I'll just get all the kills. And honestly, the Astra Wall on this map finds immense value. It is such a great ultimate here. So just being able to stack up orbs early, that could really be a valuable piece of utility when we get into the real buy rounds here.
That it could. The Cypher here towards B. It's going to be another slight pivot of the setup for Moist Mogul. Still putting the emphasis on Emily as that backside B anchor. Unusual. Most of the time you see the Astra playing more towards A. So that tells me that if these initial kind of crossfire setups that we've seen thus far fail, Moist Mogul is going to have an emphasis on the retake. But Emily's sticking around for now. Gonna try and see if she can get something done with the Spectre in the backline. But the util is good to clear out. Flash Shoe Dog is there. She's stunned up. The utility to counter is solid. Both sides stunned, but Bunny to come out the better of that one. And the Chaos Hun does find a kill, and now Bunny will try and take a timing here. Fights forward. Ready for a second, but a flash in hand and falls to Athena. This now gets a little bit dicey. 3 versus 3, and with the position that Spike is planted in, XSET will have to stay on site. Will have to commit for the post plant there.
Yeah, Athena with 2 flashes in hand, so they're going to push that back hole and try to clear out Katsumi. But it's just not going to happen. She's way too good with the rifle in her hands. 2 kills with the Vandal to lock this round up. A good attempt on the retake, but again, XSET setting up a nice little crossfire there. Actually able to get a first round on the board. I like that they tried to re-clear the halls there, but man, Katsumi just so good with the mechanics. Typically with this new roster, she's actually moved over to that duelist role, playing so much Jet, but even when she goes back to the controller of old, she looks so damn good.
Operator in hands this time for Dodonut. The desk was hyping her up. When she plays on the Jet, this is one of the roles where she absolutely pops off. She's got the angle, but struggling to find the shot. Cat just dancing on the other side, and that forces Dodonut to fall. You can see the utility and work for these B executes. You have double initiators plus the Phoenix. Despite not having a dive, you can get in pretty damn fast, and Bunny B is there. First run it back online, and 2 kills off of it. Han will trade back, but Spike's down. Moist Moguls are going to have to play into a retake here.
This is going to be so tough 3v4, and already you can see XSET have this 2-person crossfire set up, 2 in halls, 2 playing back in main. And if you're these retakers, how do you deal with this? Emily trying to peek, gets 1, a miracle even, as she had the time to do that. Flash coming out, and now Emluo trying to get this flank, actually has an opportunity to maybe bring this into a 1v1. Try and isolate a fight here, gets the first. Crosshair was so ready for that swing from Bob, but Bob biding their time, using the recon effectively, now trying to find that swing timing. Emluo with half, this really could go either way. Time is just dwindling now though, Bob playing this so well, playing the time, making it impossible, locking up that second round. So well played from Bob, just one of the absolute stars of the Game Changer scene. Honestly, fighting to be the best player in the Game Changer scene, with moments like this, and the consistency that Bob's able to deliver them.
Yeah, Bob was coming online as that player that people were talking about at the end of last year. But now into 2023, she has a chance to try and cement that legacy now with this new squad in XSET. And the momentum is good. It's going to push Moist Moguls down onto an eco round. They'll have a different approach to be this time. Aggression with the Blade Storm, get Dodonut into a cheeky little corner. But you can see XSET expects it. They start playing back in this round, wait for that KO knife to come through, and now we'll slowly scale up. But they are walking into Dodo. How much can she get done? Flash forward, but the shots are missing. Bunny turns it, finds her shot, and now this is falling apart. Stun is there for Athena, but can she get anything off of it? Han will try and support and manages to trade back even. A second shot through, but none of those rifles will be recoverable. And it's only Han to hold this site alone. She can stall for a bit, but is it enough to get support onto the site? Get enough players to aid her? Not quite in time. Panday takes her down, and this eco round, well, it started a little bit scrappy, is now a solid position for XSET.
Yeah, XSET regaining control here a bit. Drone coming out from Bob, but honestly, if Moist Moguls can get any more damage in here, the economy for XSET is
One enemy
not
remaining.
particularly good. Emily gonna get shut down. Maybe in the hands of Emluo, that Sheriff can pick up one extra frag, but the Sun is good, not gonna convert anything. And XSET looking decent coming into this next one in regards to the economy there. It's not gonna spiral out of control like it could have.
Yeah, so now 3 rounds in a row where XSET is just taking towards this B site and finding a lot of value. Their composition is excellent for this. When you have those 2 initiators, what you can do is combine that Sky Flash, Phoenix Flash with the Sova Dart, and they've been doing that to clear back halls. For Moist Moguls, the read was that we can play back halls, put an anchor there. Thus far, that hasn't worked, so this is going to force an adaptation out of this defensive side.
We've seen XSET just favor that B-side so heavily up to this point.
I've got your
And right now,
trail.
they're opening the round as if they're going to favor B again. But actually, the remainder of the team are working into mid. And look at this from Moist Moguls. They have just pushed all the way out of A. They're about to break that trip, and this is going to give it away. But I don't think XSET would guess that they actually have 3 players flanking behind right now.
If they do understand that a multi-blink is coming, they can push for spawn, and they actually seem to have that idea. Drone forward for Bunny B. If that sees anyone, she can flash around this corner, try and fight. Close corners, a crossfire could become dangerous, and she's not able to find anything. Emluo takes down both her and Rise in the attempt to trade. So now this leads dangerous. That reflank is coming online. But look at the pivot. Moist still have opportunities. They're running all the way back towards A, and I don't think Han will be able to swing in time to shut this down.
Yeah, that'll be all right, though. Han is in such a good position that when this retake comes in, they're going to be hitting XSET from every angle. They're not going to have any safe place to hide on this A site. And it looks like XSET know that too. They want to push forward and take some of these closer angles towards spawn. They know they have to win duels on one side of the map here, even things out, and then go from there.
Look at how good this adaptation is, though. A reflank from 2 sides, but XSET pushes forward. Panday claims 2. The trades are back from the other side, but that's just the reflank. This now becomes a one-pronged attack where Cat and Panday both have excellent positions into this post plant. Spike planted for them, and time is ticking. Panday might try and make a play, waiting on the drop of the cage. She spots the gun barrel, but can't find the frag in time. Tuck's close. Katsumi now ready to swing off of her. Amali in. She's forced to fight in this one. And Kat's there for the second, but Han trades in time, and Moist come through strong with the retake just at the last second.
XSET playing that so well there, somehow dragging things back from the 3v5, making that look doable. Just such a heads-up play from them to push spawn, actually find those initial kills to even the playing field. But then at the very end, Moist Moguls just coming in, solid trading for each other at the very end there. Han closing things out. Really well played, honestly, from both sides in that final situation. Both sides as well. Economy looking rough heading into this round. So much on the line.
Another look at this aggression down B long from the Moist Moguls. Same positioning here for Dodonut. Flash to peek, doesn't see anything off of it, and receives a dink from Bob as well. Her breach player falls, and so too does she. No second layer to this one. Han not ready to support in time, and this round might have fallen to pieces. Another attempt at desperation play, but won't work out. Bunny B is there on the trade, and this is already going to be a save for this defensive side.
Yeah, Moist Moguls, when they're fighting more aggressively on B, they are starting to have serious trouble dealing with Bunny B. Just one of the best duelists in the Game Changers scene right now, no doubt. Normally, you know, flexing her muscles on the Raze, typically her go-to agent, but right now, the rare Phoenix pick just actually working out so well for the XSET side. Whether it be the run it backs of just some of the value that they're finding off the flash or the wall to cross that B site. Bunny B has just been putting on a clinic as far as the entering goes.
She's been fantastic thus far. For this XSET team. Gonna try and get a little wild there, jumping over the trip. They might soon lose out on these weapons as Moist has closed this on down, and swing comes through. Panday will try and take the rifle at the last second, but won't work out. So something is kept into this next round for Moist at the very least.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they opt to approach the economy this round. And like I had said before, in their last game on Pearl, they struggled so much on defense. And it raises the question, honestly, how many rounds do they need when they switch to the other side? Because their attack against FaZe looked good in that game. It's just the problem was they started at such a deficit, it was impossible to come back.
Yeah, put them in such a tough position. But comebacks have been the name of the game for this Moguls squad. The Des was talking about it. Their last 2 series, a map 3 comeback against all odds to stay in this tournament. They're no stranger from these late game pop-offs, but right now they need to try and build consistency because XSET is a strong opponent. And again, if it's not broke, why fix it? They'll go for the same execute. This time a new piece added into the mix. The reflank from Panday combined with the Sova ultimate creates so much chaos for the players on the site. They're forced to walk straight into that flank, and it's beautifully set up to win a 5 versus 4 position in this post.
Yeah, and you can just see the layers of utility dedicated to flank watching, to clearing everything out from the side of XSET. Just nothing to worry about in a situation like this. They know where all of these retakers are coming from, and they get shut down with ease. XSET going to be carrying all of these weapons into the next round, surely. And we haven't really seen a point in this game yet where either team has been able to actually build up an economy. But this is finally going to be that moment. And for Moist Moguls, they're going to have to do something quick, because if they don't win this round here, with all of the ultimates that they have, things might get out of control, and this defensive side might be too much of a deficit to come back from.
It puts him in a very scary spot. For Moist Moguls, things I would like to see more of is trying to find these proactive moments for Dodonut. The last few rounds, it's been pushing her B long alone. That hasn't really worked out. Maybe they try to pull out the operator here, find a new solution. These are the ideas that they could be discussing in this timeout right now, because this is a very pivotal round. You lose here, your economy starts to snowball, and you could be looking at an 8-4, 9-3 kind of half.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I wasn't able to see the exact economy for some of the players, but if they could afford an op here, that would be so good against this XSET comp. It's a rarity that right now in spring 2023, you get to play against a team on Pearl that isn't running a Viper, a Harbor, both. Just so much utility, so many walls that it just nullifies the op completely. But against a comp like this, the op would be so effective for the defenders. Dodonut just maybe playing a passive angle back B and able to get a pick to dash away off of. We'll have to see, though. It looks like in this round, they're more than likely just going to be relying on the ultimates. And honestly, I'd like to see them not fight for these extremities. I want to see them use these ults to go for a big retake.
Yeah, they haven't really had an even or even player-up situation where they've been able to go for a retake, almost always losing someone on those side execs. So maybe this is the idea to change that one. XSET was early postured towards B, but after getting spotted by this KO knife, they'll reset the round for a moment.
Yeah, XSET, for the first time, and it feels like the entire half, honestly, slowing things down early. And you can see, though, this drone having to be popped from Bob all the way back here. That aggression from Moist Moguls in previous rounds is the reason for that. They don't want to run into, you know, Dodo hiding up close with those knives, some kind of breach stun trap play that they ran into before. And that is going to force XSET to slow things down, take things with a more methodical approach.
But that's one thing you can do with this composition. You have Sovadar, you have 2 Skybirds, you have a dog and a drone to clear space, plus Bunnybee's flashes in the late round for the actual exec. You have a lot of different options, and one player who has been giving those opportunities has been Panday. Her lurks have been consistently finding value, and she might be in a good spot again. Planty's coming down towards B. No one from MXM was contesting. And if Panday finds his timing right, she could create some chaos here in the late round.
Yeah, now with this retake, they have the Astra Wall to block off these angles. The breach ult is about to come through now. And you can see, actually, XSET are playing up really close. They're expecting the Astra Wall to come down, and these close angles from them are so good as they're able to trade out all of the Moist Mogul players just spilling in from main off the back of the breach ult. XSET so heads up with the positioning, putting Emlo in an impossible spot, still able to lock up the round and getting the ultimates out of the hands of Moist Moguls. It just couldn't have gone better for them.
That's a perfect round out of MXM, and you see them, or excuse me, out of XSET. You see them initially take the more forward positions off the breach ult, give that space, and once it fades, they push back in with a util combo of their own and utterly shut down the attempt at that flood retake. It's so well set up, and that is a back-breaking round. Not only the ultimates that you mentioned, but the economy too. It's just going to be an eco here.
We've seen XSET in so many of their games now. He's so dynamic with their attack timings. On some maps like Split, running that fast double duelist. On others like here, Pearl, Ascent, the way that they're able to speed things up, go for effective fast hits, slow down other rounds, push and pull the defenders, and then make those little post-plant adaptations. They really have just been so good on their attack side in the games we've seen from them in this lower bracket.
And Moise was trying to play together to try and flood back out into this retake, but the util is so incredibly good. You see a Sun to keep these players short spawn. They'll try and surge their way back out now, but the crossfire is already established, and XSET will not let a soul through that doorway. Athena, MLuo alone, both their positions very much known, and this round is over. These B hits are unstoppable. The spike not even down by the time MLuo is left alone.
And if you can't stop the sight hit, just the Phoenix and all that utility coming in behind him, then you have to deal with Panday on the flank. They've just been so good. The deepest run in a Game Changers event that Panday's ever had is right now. The first signed team they've ever played on as well. And just so effective on these lurks. Just a thorn in the side of Moguls round after round.
And for XSET, well, it might be a weird composition. It honestly plays kind of similarly to some of the strengths of the current meta of that double controller. You have a silver drone or something to get that close space, equivalent to kind of a cascade coming in. And for getting the deeper space on B, you have a drone plus the Phoenix wall to come up to close that gap. There's so many different ideas that XSET have. And you were talking about the kind of different styles they show. Here, I think they're really showing the preparation behind this composition that is a little outside of the norm.
And finally, we talked about it during the timeout. Dodo has enough money to purchase the AWP, but can she get a pick? XSET are favoring B again, as they have so many times in this half. And this could be the moment where things could shake up. Maybe Moguls can get a fourth round off the back of this operator in back halls. Athena as well set up with a bit of a crossfire to help if things, you know, get close, if the rifles close in.
Nice shot out of Dodo. That's Bunny beat down. A big piece of this execute taken offline. But look at the instantaneous reaction. Sovault coming into the back halls, pressure inbound on Dodo. But Emily has found a kill onto the lurker of Panday all the way across the map. And that limits XSET's options. They wanted to pivot. They wanted to try and find a different way out of this round. But now with a minute on the clock and their utility dwindled, they're locked out for the moment.
This is exactly what I wanted to see from the defensive side of Moguls. And now 40 seconds on the clock. XSET running out of players and running out of ideas on how to take this site. Moguls with 3 players set up, ready to swing off this breach flash. Dodo picks up the angle off of it, has both sides of halls to play with. Just gonna hold that angle tight. 20 seconds now on the clock. Time ever dwindling for XSET to get this spike down. Surely it's not possible with Athena there, ready with the flash, ready to swing. The stun as well, just to slow things down. That's going to catch Rise.
Spike down.
And this round is just going to slowly come to an end.
4 seconds left. An aftershock in their face. This spike was never going to be planted, and swift trades from most Moguls ensure that that's the case. So they make the adaptation, but now the question is kind of, is it too late? It took them 11 rounds to find a solid solution to that B hit.
I wonder now what XSET are going to do heading into this one. They've just favored B so heavily. It's the site where they've gone round after round. It's the reason why they have so many in this half. And I wonder if they're going to be forced to shake things up here, feeling like they can't walk into this operator again. And that does look to be the case. Now the spike is in the hands of Bunny B over towards that A side. It looks like they're playing more of a spread opening to this round, trying to get info in multiple places on the map.
Look at that operator. Dodo actually had a read that it might start towards the other side. So she initially set up towards A, but will now pivot back to this B site, actually reconsidering. Where will this hit end? They don't know. The utility headed towards B is just a fake, and it looks like Moist Moguls might realize that. He has 3 players stacked towards this A site. The operator as well timed on the swing, but Bunny B so prepared for it. Won't die in that position twice. Star is up. The spike is on the floor. There is utility to let this one dwindle, but look towards the other side. Despite it being a fake, XSET had second options here.
Yeah, XSET still have time to play with. They're going to rotate off. They weren't fully committed off that fake. And luckily for them, they weren't, because Moguls had the read. And now into the 4-on-4. XSET going back to their home site. They're going to go to B again. A bit of a weird situation as Bob is actually the one in this lurk position. Emily back holes, though. He had success early on in the half from this position. The dog stun is so good, and if that didn't work, there was a grab well at her feet for Bob to capitalize off of. XSET just so good, syncing up utility there with the swings. Gonna get that spike down, and Athena pushes a bit too early, not actually able to get assistance from Emluo in time. The timing on those swings off by just a second, but every second matters in a situation like that. XSET just played the latter half of that attack round so well.
The mid-rounds from this team are excellent out of XSET. They might be a new team, but they have some insane players on their squad, and they have managed to assemble a team that can compete with the best. They're competing for a chance into the top 3 here. An 8-4 on your attacking side gives hope. We've mentioned it a lot of times. Moist, they're better on this attacking side, and they are good at these comebacks. This composition, I'm interested to see how it's going to play out in this second half. I think the breach gives you a lot of options for taking space in mid, but you're a little bit more limited on these straight up B hits. It's just going to be really interesting to see what they have prepped.
Yeah, I want to see what Dodo can do here on the attack on Jet. We saw how impactful the entry for XSET Bunny was on that Phoenix. And now an equal amount of responsibility on that Moguls Jet to crack open the sights in the same way.
And I will reveal Panday in the backlines. She has support inbound, but Dodo's going faster. Dash into the backlines. Perfect dart, though, out of Bob, but it gets awkward now. Moist is stalled in the open, trying to just fight in these brawls and overwhelm Panday. Rise is here to try and help out. The Panday's already found 2. Now she's ready to pivot towards the back halls. And Rise, look at this reaction right ahead of Dodo, ready on the angle, and ready with the shot. XSET, what an incredible recovery on the pistol.
Oh, that timing on that reload was so awkward, and XSET just able to spill into the site, holding perfect crossfires for each other. Just so ready to deal with those Halls players from multiple angles. Those are the situations that we just see XSET be so good in over and over. And it's this entire situation that we've seen XSET be so good in the past. The core of Bob and Katsumi, when they're sent down to that lower bracket, something just activates and they play with a vengeance. It's something we saw with them on Cloud9 previously, and we're seeing it carry over into this new XSET team too.
Yeah, and you bet it's not just those two, but this entire team wants their revenge on Shopify. That squad sent them down to this lower bracket. They have a chance to play them again if they can win this series. But there's still time to play. There's still chances for either of these teams to close this one on out, as Moist early on just putting a priority on getting that ult orb and just taking their time on the secret round.
Yeah, nothing really invested here by the Moguls. Just
need that back.
classics only, couple pieces of utility. Maybe hoping to get a plant down, a little bonus, but their goal is not this round. It's going to be the one that comes after. Site is a bit open, so they might be allowed to get that plant, get those extra credits.
Oh, they want to overwhelm onto Panday, but she's so ready in that corner. 4 kills for the Cypher, looking for the ace to boot. Utility to support. She won't get her ace, but XSET sure as hell will claim that round. Great work out of Panday. She has been incredible throughout this map. Again, her first signed team, her first big opportunity, and she's just thriving in it.
Respect as well that they tried to let her get the ace. They hesitated, a little shock dart, let the damage come in, but unfortunately just a little weak from fighting off the horde of jumping classic users. The 2020 Valorant moment occurring there in front of Panday's eyes, but luckily it's not 2020, otherwise she definitely would have gone down.
It is current year. And it's going to be a fight for a main. This is just a bonus round, but it's already dangerous. Athena was actually so far forward in that one, it didn't seem like she was ready at all for that fast execute from XSET to come through.
Yeah, and again, Panda here just might be in position to have impact on the round, and Will holding this angle, the trip. Oh, that's so nice. The Astra Smoke covers the trip, and it catches them as they're pushing down the hall. That is so good from the XSET defense. What a nice little utility play.
Excellent work out of them, and I mean, what option do you have left for Moist? This started as a bonus round. Now practically everyone on XSET has a rifle to work with, and already they want to use this as a chance to save, but XSET's just bullying. They've just Cypher ulted them in a 2 versus 5.
That is some bullying from Panda, but you know, when you get all those kills on the go round, you might as well, right? 30 seconds into the round, and
30 seconds left.
Han and Emily are in some serious trouble. Just XSET members closing in from all angles.
One enemy remaining.
They managed to get
Spike
a couple,
down,
but
B.
it's just not going to matter, man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many members XSET lose in this one. That was their bonus regardless, and they managed to knock every rifle down. That might just be the signal to end this game. Because for Moist Moguls, if they want to buy into this round, it is going to be a very scrappy force, and they know that it's not enough to get them a win. They're just going to go try and play for another impossible comeback. 12-4, what it'll be, unless they can get something miraculous off these Sheriffs.
Yeah, they're playing for that overtime. They are playing for it. Sheriffs in hand. Looks like they're going to try and go for maybe some kind of fast A play and leave MLUO lurking in mid. Try and pick up some kind of kill. Maybe be the impactful player when this main site hit comes in.
Cage triggered.
And with Cloud9 White falling apart at the end of last year, there was a lot of questions about how the hierarchy of Game Changers comes out. You expect V1, a super team, Shopify, the team of last year, to come out on top of that one. But there was a question, who's number 3? Who's that last competitor to come into the fold? And 2 members of that super squad of Cloud9 build up here on XSET and are making a pretty good argument for this squad to be that team who can be that 3rd place, who can maybe even fight to compete into a grand final here.
Yeah, it had really never been the case, right? Only until that final Game Changer series when Fluorescent was on Misfits that there was really what felt like a 3rd contender in the NA scene. And it looked like when this bracket started that it was going to be the case that there's just going to be 2 top teams again. XSET going down to Shopify immediately, but just running it all the way through the lower bracket. Like we mentioned, that's where Cat and Bob thrive. But this round is not over yet. Moist Moguls making the Sheriffs actually look like the Vandals, just getting headshot after headshot. Pandy trying to make an early play happen, perhaps a little bit, you know, too confident, crossing the line of confidence to ego. This round is nowhere near over. Emily will recover the rifle, but Katsumi just silently walking through mid, able to capitalize. No information really for MLUO there.
They have the breach ult. They earned the breach ult in this one, and they want to invest it to use this round, but Bob is just contacting in. What an incredible decision out of Bob. That is so perfectly played. Han was trying to hold for that exact peak, but Bob just peeks it perfectly to find both of those kills. That's incredible out of her.
And there it is, the duo we were talking about, Katsumi and Bob. Just again, for the millionth time, showing why they've been at the top of this scene for years in the case of Katsumi. And Bob, again, just one of the absolute best in Game Changers right now.
Yeah, they do not lose in Game Changers. Those 2 are incredible players. But Moist, let's see what you got. Rifles out, the first real shot they've had it around since the anti-bonus. In this half, they're cooking up something towards B.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go for a fast hit. They certainly have the ultimates to do it. That KO ult and breach ult, so good with the quick executes like this. And now a lot on Bunny B and Panda to hold this crossfire, hold the line for XSET, and take this first map win. As the Moguls players are actually in back halls, they get that first entry. I like this positioning from Bunny B, though, so cheeky, playing around the Astra smoke. The Moguls have no idea. The first kill is claimed, but Athena was hanging around in the back, watching the flank, able to get the trade. And now as things are slowing down, it seems like the Moguls should be in a good position here. You can see as well, they're giving time for MLUO on that flank coming through mid.
They are. Eyes ready on a flash here to fight with her teammates into this back hall. Dodo is 1 HP and she's stuck in a bit of a no man's land here. Can't swing back to back halls, can't contest Katsumi, but now she has support. Rolling Thunder in, it'll actually dive Kat back to safety, but it's straight into the trap of Emluo. Flank is here, kill is there, and Emily able to find it from the other side. So it lands 1 versus 3. Rise making a go of things, but it's not happening today. Super scrappy round, but Moist find their first in the second half.
And it was a great round from them. I love how they slowed things down there, gave Emluo time to work through mid, and even when they realized, even when XSET rather realized that flank was going to be coming in, that's why everything slowed to a halt. Then another layer. Moguls used the breach ult to actually set Emluo up to get those kills. That was just so nice and methodical from the Moguls.
Yeah.
They are showing off some great rounds, but again, it's just the early deficit starting on defense. It might just be too little too late.
Wyatt, we have something special in front of us. Something I haven't seen in quite a while. The Boperator. Bob pulling it out on the Silverall. She was known for this kind of craziness last year, and she's going to want to continue it here. Gets a tag, and it's an ult in to connect, but no finish off of that one. So now they're just going to leave this Sova player to anchor alone with her off and have a heavier play towards B.
Yeah, Moguls taking their time. They fear the Boberator. They want no
It's
business
terrifying.
with that over.
I would run away too.
Truly terrifying. They are just going to opt to go B again, where they had success previously, and where that Astra ult can just be so powerful. And Emily is ready to use it surely on this site hit.
You want to fight
Now Dodo going to be able to dash into the smoke, try and open things up. Maybe break a crossfire, but those XSET players, they're already on the retreat. They're already playing behind that
Spike
wall.
planted.
They're just going to wait for it to fade out, wait for their teammates to regroup, and then they're going to go for that full execute.
2 flanks in the mix in this one. Panday working her way towards that attacker side at spawn, and Emlu as well. Starting to find a bit of a gap in this one. We'll keep tabs on them as this retake continues, but for now, it's XSET trying to go in quickly. Panday pressuring from behind as the Phoenix Wall goes up and the first tap of that spike starts to come through. Cat is trying to hold on to this one, but they're so worried about this flight behind. Eventually, contained, and a shock dart there to take down onto Athena, so that spike cannot be defused for the moment, but here comes the reflank. Cat is holding on this one, but it's Cypher here in time. What can Emluo do? She finds one, and that's the round. Cat alone, she's gonna try and hold on to this one, but no HP, no time, and no shot.
Again, it's just so intelligently played by the Moguls. As the round goes on, they just continue to make good decisions. They're not rushing things. Their ability there to nullify that flank, playing together, playing around that cage, and just able to get that kill without losing any of their own players, and then going back. They already had the spike planted for everyone deep down long there to just spam at it. It was perfect. They set up everything exactly as it needed to be, and they never got ahead of themselves.
Oh, they didn't. But XSET gonna keep the trickery up, even on this bit of a worse buy. 3 players walking into mid. You prided Moist for their slow play, but in this one, could get the better of them. A few players just on the other side of this flank.
Come on, let's go!
Bunnybee spots out one. Emluo has no idea where this is coming from, and Bunnybee has a second. That's the spike as well. Stuck down on the floor, more flashes to pressure forward. Bunnybee a third, and now the stars come into the mix, but Emily is going to try and make herself a hero. Not enough. 24K wants her ace. Will try and push forward.
Get out of my way.
Can they get it? Can they close this out? It's only Dodo, not a 1 versus 4. A drone tag, and the pressure is coming. Flash forward, Bunnybee around the corner, spam through the cloudburst. An ace for Bunnybee, and a map to XSET.
Oh, surely it doesn't end like that. I mean, a crazy ace from Bunnybee, but also a silly one to end that game with the positioning of that run it back to be popped. As a defender in the attacker spawn like 10 seconds into the round, what the hell, baby? It's just a little ridiculous. But overall, XSET, again, they already came into this winning 80-something% of their Pearl games. It's their pick. They're so good on it. We've already seen the Moguls struggle, at least on the defensive side on this map. So things going expected here, but still some bright spots for the Moguls, I think.
Yeah, there were a few, but I think already we're seeing that kind of duality of XSET. The rounds where they're really structured, they have great ideas, they take their time. And the rounds where they can get a little bit silly, can lean into some of those wild individual plays and still find success by getting coordination even in those wild moments. XSET is looking strong, but the series is not over yet. The Game Changer's life here for the Moist Moguls relies on Haven. That's coming up right after this break.
Red Bull gives you wings.